throwing on the stream. I've also been thinking about doing a weekly podcast kind of stream where I want to start interviewing some of you all on YouTube. So if anybody is willing to do an interview, let me know. You could just say yes or no, and I'll keep it in mind. And I'm thinking when to do it. Maybe Saturday, early afternoon, because I'm always home, always back into the office after I hang out with my son and my grandkids. It'd be a good time to do a stream until the winter's over. Then maybe, I don't know. People are going to be out and about once the weather starts getting good here. Anyway, something I want to do. So if you're willing to be interviewed, just say yes, and I'll put you on my list to get a hold of. I think everybody should do it. There's no reason not to. You don't have to be, the greatest trader in the world. It's not about that. All right, so putting a reverse continue on our oil chart. Changing the breakout to a reverse continue. Position 1 is a 1. Target 1 is 20 ticks. Target 2. Stop is 20 ticks. And I'm going to keep working on account number 37, I believe. And my busted account will be back, I think, tomorrow or the day after. If you bust an account, you could just let it sit until it resets. If it's an eval, obviously. You don't have to pay to reset it if you have other accounts. It's sometimes cheaper to just buy a new account if you're going to reset it. If it's the only account you have, then when there's a sale going on, it's cheaper to buy a new account, right? Good morning. All right, so our label is going to be CL reverse continue. And right now, let me check account number 37. So yesterday morning, yeah, that's the one we worked on yesterday. It's a little bit under where it started, this particular account. So I'm not trading the oil trade in a funded account or anything like that. Now, again, we're making new highs. My feeling is I don't know that I want to be filled short in this oil account again. Now, today, am I going to intervene and then, of course, it's going to pull back? Nitin, that's very upsetting to hear. What instruments were frozen for you yesterday? Just curious. Looking at a 15-minute oil chart. So certainly oil has the ability to pull back. I'm probably just going to let the trade. That's probably the approach I'm going to take if I trade it. I mean, this probably is my final week with this trade. Like I was saying, I don't enjoy the trade. Whether it wins or not, I don't enjoy the trade. And life is too short. NQ and MNQ. Now, MNQ worked okay for us yesterday morning. We didn't have a problem. But Bullinox, our RTY with us, and the RTY was fast yesterday morning at the open. It was a quick drop down. I mean, it wasn't beyond belief speed, but it did freeze and the trade worked perfectly. And then I was unfrozen after it worked perfectly, so I didn't get the trade to work. And then we got stopped. So that was pretty frustrating. We made most of the money back on our high of day scalp after the open. And today is another interesting morning where magnets look very good on the RTY. High of day, low of day, we're sitting in the middle. We're fairly close. Same thing, YM is looking good. Let's put our oil range trade on. Oil is CL 426 at the moment. So we're going to click on News Trader. I'll load our template. Look for our oil new open. Oil new open range, and we will rename it, right click it, rename it to today's date. The 24th February is pretty much over. And our range trade starts at 859, one tick above the range, one tick below the range. Show the range graphics on the chart gets checked. That physically draws the range. Then go up to the top, make sure your trade type is a range trade.
Kremlin says they are to brief the US on Ukraine's attempts to get nukes.
And then we're going to end the range at 90040. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1, 8 tick target, 20 tick target, 15 tick stop. Target 1 stop move is break even -4. And that's our range trade setup. And we'll trade that in the same account that we trade the reverse continue.
Venezuela readies larger crude cargoes for export beginning in March.
Now the YM, I'm going to put a quick reverse continue on the chart.
And Interfax citing Putin's aide Ushakov on nuclear weapons accusations.
35 tick target, 35 tick stop. It's a reverse continuation. YM, reverse continue. And our YM, where am I going to trade the YM this morning? I think we'll trade it in our I'm just thinking where I want to trade it. Give me a second. Do I want to trade it in 38 this morning? Let me put it on 38 for a minute and we'll see. 38 is an account that's doing pretty well. So YM reverse continue on 38. Now the magnet is already going up. Putting on a YM magnet, high of day, low of day. Proximity at the moment is 3. Position 1 is a 1, -3 on the target. Position 2 is a 1, and we've got 15 ticks on the target. The stop is 50. 50 tick stop. Always movable on a market open. That's our setup at the moment. We're on account number 38. And labeling it YM magnet.
At 8:55 a.m. Eastern Time.
Don't forget, when you turn the magnet on, you get your order entry. Just below 49 is probably going to be my entry. Uh, it's a small, we're already darn close to the magnet. My feeling is we're going to get filled way before the market opens on the YM, and it's going to go through the magnet. I think it's certainly going to test it, and then it's very possibly going to go through it. Now, there was a good VWAP signal. It was a little bit late, but it was positive. Oil doesn't, nothing happens on oil until 9 o'clock and 40 seconds. And then our RTY, we will put a quick reverse continue yesterday. We did it a lot like the YM, 35 target, 35 stop on the discretionary trade. And I probably need to use a new account for the RTY to keep track of it. I think this morning I'll try the RTY. Well, I don't want to use a funded account until I'm sure that the data is working well. So we'll try it in 37 and we'll label it RTY reverse continue. RTY. That's one setup. And then we have our range trade open on the RTY. Let's load our template. And this is 9:30, so it's no rush to put it on, but it's nice to be set up so you can watch the markets. So looking for our template for the RTY. RTY open. Label it today. And we're going to start the range. It's a range trade. We're going to start the range at 929.50. 6 ticks above, 6
According
ticks
to Putin's
below.
aide,
Show the range
Russian threat
graphics on
Kiev
chart.
attempts to obtain nuclear weapons
And
would
we're
affect
looking for
Russia's
12
possession of
tick
Ukraine.
target, 2 contracts with a 25 tick stop. It's like a little opening scalp. And on number 37.
Spot gold falls nearly 2%.
And we'll label it RTY open. And we'll see how our data does today. So we've got RTY, and it's for 9:30. We don't have anything to do at the moment. The YM almost filled, and then it pulled back. Came just a couple of ticks away. I don't mind that it pulled back. I'm not in a rush
In 5 minutes' time, we have
to
the
get
US Fed
filled
meeting
before the
again at
market opens. I always
5:17 p.m.
prefer getting filled much closer to the market open. I just think you have more momentum, higher volume, a lot of good reasons that you'll get a follow through on a fill. The YM is bullish at the moment. I think Home Depot helped. I think it was a little bit, for me, it was a little bit of a surprise that Home Depot was positive. I truly thought they were going to have terrible earnings. However, maybe they cheated a little bit. And maybe their cheat was that they raised their dividend. And that, I didn't really look that carefully at the rest of the earnings. I saw that they raised their dividend. And I'm just wondering, we
Order
are going to get
submitted.
filled. Now, I didn't, Get our YM on the right account. Now, the one thing I always forget to do on the magnet is if it hits the first target, move the stop up to break even.
At 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we're expecting comments from
Now,
Fed's
you
Collins,
don't
giving
need to
opening
take
remarks at
a
a
huge
conference on
stop on an
finance and
early
payments
trade.
at the
I
Federal Reserve
think
Bank of Boston.
that you could take
Text
small
message Q&A
risk
is to be
and then you
distributed.
could trade
Also
again at the
expecting
open.
comments from Fed's
So
President.
that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to just use market structure a little bit. If it breaks the
Further steps at 9
structure,
a.m. Eastern
then I'll
Time,
look for a
USK
second
shares
trade.
20 year-on-year, forecast 1 spot 3%, prior 1 spot 4%, US house price index year-on-year, prior 1 spot 9%,
If it
US
decides to
house price
go up
index
and follow
month-on-month,
through,
forecast 0 spot
then
3%, prior 0
I'll
spot
leave it on.
6%.
Now, you could say that the structure is above 970, right? That you got this big burst up, then you had a little bit of consolidation, a smaller burst up, and then more consolidation. So you could put your stop right above 8,970, 48,970. That's not a terrible place for the stop. It might allow us to survive the trade. So let's put our stop there and see if we get the continued movement up with a little more room to breathe. When I trade a test of the high or a magnet, I don't like reversals like that. I want a burst and a follow through. That's what I really want. I don't want negative momentum. I mean, everything about this trade has the wrong look now. Lower volume. All right. So we are streaming this morning, and we are going to stick around for
Shortly
consumer
expecting US Fed
confidence.
books year-on-year.
And interestingly, I watched the ADP weekly report. Now, that news has been very inconsistent. I was hoping, I've said this every week, that they'd get rid of that report. Now they'll probably never get rid of it because ADP, they have attention on that report. But the reality is, they've taken all the attention away from their monthly report now. They've diluted their monthly report by releasing these weekly reports. Now, today, a normal breakout trade would have worked fine. The market was slow right when the news was being released, and you could have gotten away with a 15 or a 20 bracket. Very small 15 or 20 bracket and a nice
6.7%
move.
to 6.7%.
So it's been a tough report to set up a reliable trade on. That's been the
And
big
in 5
issue.
minutes' time, we have the USK shares 20 year-on-year, forecast 1 spot 3%, prior 1 spot 4%, US house price index month-on-month, forecast 0 spot 3%, prior 0 spot 6%, US house price index year-on-year, prior 1 spot 9%. Also expecting comments from Fed's Collins giving opening remarks at a conference on finance.
Order filled.
You expect USD
Okay, so we
at
got our
potential
first
stance over the coming
target.
weeks.
Stop goes to safety. All right. Now, no matter what, make a few bucks on that early magnet. See, it broke the high, and now it could pull back or it could go for our second target.
So furthermore, expecting comments from
It
Fed's
was
Collins
not
giving
a
opening remarks
big
at a conference on finance and payments at the
profit,
Federal Reserve Bank of
okay?
Boston.
Was not
Text and
huge.
Q&A is due to
As
be
it goes
decided.
up a little bit,
Also expecting comments from Fed
I'll
Boston,
trail.
taking in a moderate
I'll try to
issue
trail
of
tick
policymakers'
for
calm
tick,
residual on monetary
tick for
policy and
tick.
economic outlook.
I'll
No
try to
text and
trail.
Q&A is expected with the moderator.
There's a strong possibility that you could get a change in direction here, or it may make it to our second target. Because the market was nicely bullish, that's why I chose to trade that second order, that second
We have
position.
posted a live video of Feds Collins and Fed Swallow speaking on the feed for those interested.
So let's see if it'll keep bursting. See, now you have a slight momentum change. Probably going to take us out here. I'd be surprised if it keeps going up. There was Case-Shiller news. That's home news. You have the home price index. Case-Shiller, almost as expected, the Case-Shiller news.
Order filled.
All right, so $110 on our magnet. So now you have to figure out, well, what to do on the market open. So you could say to yourself, okay, I traded the YM on the market open. I'm done with the YM. Let's concentrate on the RTY. Or we could wait for a pullback and see if we get another high of day, low of day setup. So that's one of the approaches we can take. You know, sometimes
1 minute remaining.
the move
ECB
happens a
200k
little
share
bit
20
early.
year on year.
Case-Shiller, it's a
Also
leading
expected
monthly
volume of Feds
indicator
Collins and Fed Swallow.
tracking
We have posted a live
residential
stream of
real
Feds Bostic
estate
speaking on the
price
feed for those interested.
trends. All right. 10 city composite,
US
20
effective
city
federal funds rate
composite,
unchanged at 3.64%.
major metropolitan area report. And it's interesting, it's a report that was developed in the 1980s. Case-Shiller were the names of the economists that developed the report. All right, here's our oil trade. I don't want to get filled short on oil, but it's only in a prop account.
10 seconds.
It's in a prop. There's one more little report this morning, the housing price index. That's at 9 o'clock.
1.38%, 1.38%, higher than forecast of 1.3%. US house price index month on month,
So that's a
0.1% to
little bit higher
0.1%,
than
lower than
expected.
forecast of 0.3%. US house price index year on year, 1.8%, 1.8%.
Here's the oil range
ECB bond
trade.
holdings under PEP 1.4 trillion as of
Turning
last week.
off for
And
the
ECB
moment
settled
my
242.6 billion
YM
euros of
magnet
corporate
just
bond
for a minute,
purchases, and ECB settled 1.831
just
trillion of
resetting it.
public sector bond purchases.
Order submitted.
All right, here's oil.
Feds Collins does not comment on economy and monetary policy.
Now the oil
Order
open.
submitted.
So once again, we're filled short on a day where I'm thinking, I don't know that I want to be filled short. Let's see if we get a follow through this morning. Now, it did make a burst of a high there. So maybe we'll get that follow through. A
The
little bit of a
ECB's forex
retrace.
reserves rose 900 million euros to 334.5 billion euros.
At least I'd like to see target one. We're only looking for 8 ticks. We're not looking for all that much. We're not that greedy, you know? Only looking for 8 measly little ticks. And now I'm just watching. If you reset the software after trades, I like to always turn it off and on in the new version after a trade to make sure it resets the software. It has to do with printing of signals. It seems to me the signals print better when we do that. The other thing I want to remind everybody, because the software is going to be released this week. It might be a day or two delayed because I'm waiting on one thing that I've been discussing with the programmer. Um, it's important that everybody back up
Posted
your
US
Ninja
Southwest December 2025
before
report
you
on the strength of
install
the
or
Dow Jones.
remove strategies and indicators. You should have a fresh Ninja. So if you have a problem, because the most common thing that happens when people try to install a new strategy or a new indicator, all of the problems that exist in your Ninja that are not acting as problems because they're files that are corrupted that you might not be using. But what happens is when you do installations, Ninja goes through all these
On the
checks and
expiry close, the US
balances
K showed a 20
and it
year on year
finds a
one spot
ton of
42%,
errors.
one spot 42% compared to the original
And
prior period of
sometimes it finds
300%.
errors that are related to indicators or strategies you're not using anymore. So it won't let you install, or it'll give you an error that installation doesn't work. So at least number one, and sometimes you'll get damaged NinjaTrader, your platform could be damaged with a bad installation. So it's always a great idea before you do anything that's going to change your platform because it's so easy to back up the platform. Here are the instructions on how to back up. Everybody should back up their platform right after this trade run. Because then if you have a problem, you could selectively uninstall, you could reinstall your platform to where it was before you'd made any changes. And then you could uninstall some of your old strategies or old indicators and possibly solve a problem on your own without needing NinjaTrader tech support. The most common issues are
At
compilation
9:15
issues.
a.m. Eastern Time, we're
What
expecting
happens
Goldman
is
Sachs One
NinjaTrader gets
conference on financial
internal
payments and Federal Reserve
compile
Bank
errors. When a
Boston. Next,
strategy
and Q&A is expected with the
is
moderator. We're also
installed,
expecting
written,
comments
and
from the Bank of
finished,
England's Governor
it
Bailey
usually
and
has to
FCC members
compile
Gill, Green, and Taylor, giving
inside the
input on the latest
software.
monetary
And
policy report to members of
when
Parliament
a
on the 15th
compilation
meeting.
error gets returned, the platform doesn't let you install. It doesn't finish and it just throws an error. I just can't stress enough. It's so simple to back up the platform and it only takes a few moments that everyone should do it regularly. You should do it once a week.
We have posted the link for the Bank of England members speaking at the
Oswald,
Asia Committee video
who's talking
on
about
YouTube
copy
for those
trading?
interested.
What do you mean? We're not talking about copy trading. A lot of people copy trade with prop accounts. A lot of people.
Order filled.
All right, first target hit. Moving my stop. Break even. Break even. Probably break even minus a tick. Minus one tick. So yesterday, I did shrink my stop on the oil trade. And I did get stopped out because it just didn't work. Calvin, explain what you mean. I'm not a genius on problems installing Ninja. So interestingly, um, we now do have a viable high of day, low of day YM trade again. And look at the beautiful signal that we got on the reversal after our early move. Wow. Move it where? What do you mean? Move it where? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry. Let me go over our RTY setup that we're trying this morning. So I have an RTY open trade. It's a range, and we have an RTY reverse continuation. Our RTY reverse continuation is a simple 35 tick target, 35 tick stop. All right. Trading in a prop account. Just checking. All right. Then we have our RTY open trade, which is a range. Starting the range at 929.50, 6 ticks above the range, 6 ticks below the range. Show the range graphics on chart. End the
Order
range
filled.
at 930.10 and a target of 12 ticks with a stop of 25, looking for 2 positions on our target. So just, it's almost a simple scalp on the open. Our oil trade is done with a small profit. It hit the first target and then it backed up to our stop. Our stop protected the first target
The
minus a
Fed's
tick.
Bostic is now speaking.
So
Reminder, the
for
video
me, the
recording
oil
is permitted
trade's
use only.
over. I'm not scalping oil, so I'm removing my strategies. I don't need
Feds
it.
Collins has also started speaking now.
And what I can do is move my RTY setups. No, I can't. I need the chart for my MNQ. So we'll leave the RTY where it is. We'll change our oil chart to MNQ.
Mind you, in 5 minutes' time, we're expecting comments and text release from Feds Waller speaking at a conference on finance and
What's
payments at the
FIBO?
Federal Reserve Bank in
What is
Boston.
FIBO,
Q&A
Oswald?
is
What are you
also
talking
expected from the
about?
moderator. Also, Fed are
FIBO.
expecting comments from Bank of England's
Define
Governor Bailey
FIBO,
and MPC members Phil, Green and Taylor,
please.
giving evidence
All right,
presented in the Monetary Policy
MNQ,
Report to members of Parliament on the Treasury Committee.
MNQ.
Reminder, there is a link on the feed for those interested.
We're going to set up our reverse continuation for the MNQ market open. We don't use it very often. Reverse continue on the MNQ. A couple of contracts. We'll do a 40 tick target, a 75 tick stop, and our MNQ open. We'll label it MNQ reverse continue, and we'll trade it in our market open funded account on the MNQ. Still just treading water. We don't trade that way, Oswald. I'm sorry. That's not something we do. We have our own setups. that we trade. We don't use fibs. We're trading the open, but we don't use fibs at all. We use our own software and our own setups. So I don't have a YM open setup that I've been using at the moment, Calvin. I'm just using magnets and a reverse continuation on the YM.
Paramount confirms submission of revised proposal to buy Warner Brothers.
MNQ putting on my breakout trade. So I'll load my template
EU's Sefcovic says US counterparts
on the
reassured the EU that they
MNQ.
stand by the EU-US trade deal.
And I'm going to put an MNQ magnet on the chart. But let's do our MNQ new open, right? New open. Right click it and just date it today, February 24th. It's a bracket of 40. We're triggering at 9:29:59, but I am going to put the time on 0. And targets, I use 35 and 100 today with a stop of 125. Break even if it hits my first target. Actually, I'm going to use a 35 bracket. 35 bracket. I want to test the bracket. The time is 0. The charts are on sim. The software is set to sim. I just want to see the size of the bracket for the trade.
Order submitted. Order canceled.
And I'm going to remove, highlight the breakout trade, remove show vertical line on entry. I'm going to uncheck it. You could look at our bracket one more time.
Order submitted.
And we have a nice
Order
bracket,
canceled.
nicely tradable. We'll put our charts back to our funded account. We'll put our software back on the funded software for the breakout.
According to Politico, Rubio to brief top lawmakers on Tuesday on
Apply
Iran.
it and okay it. Now the MNQ is starting to sell off a little bit.
1 minute remaining till we expect.
As did the YM. The YM had a beautiful, look at that VWAP test that it did. What a gorgeous trade. Let me make sure that I set my MNQ time back. No, I did not. Set the time back to 9:29. It would have triggered my trade, right? It would have triggered the brackets. If your time is left at 0, you're going to trigger your brackets. I just haven't used it much, Calvin, so it's Langford's range. Langford's been using it. I'd have to look it up. I haven't been trading it yet. It's a 925
Voice
to
news
930
disconnected.
range. Now, interestingly, the YM giving a new signal on the test of the VWAP. So the VWAP got tested, momentum changed, and then a new signal. Now you're 15 minutes before the open, so I would be more prone to setting up to working on this magnet again now. So uncheck the magnet, strategy, put it back to high of day, low of day. So it's a new trade. Proximity is 3. And we have one position, 3 ticks before it gets to the magnet. -3 offset. -3 offset. And then our second position is a 15-tick target with a 50-tick stop. So that's our magnet this morning. Now we're a little bit, I wouldn't say we're far, but we're in the middle of highs and lows now. So when you turn on your magnet, you get your possible order entry. This market could go either direction for a fill, that's for sure. Could go either direction. If you hover the mouse over the magnet entry button, it shows you your short sell, the
We have
entry,
posted the article from Politico on US
and
Secretary of State
target.
Rubio to brief top lawmakers on
It's like a
Tuesday on Iran.
19-tick target, it looks like. And then on the upside, it's a 17-tick target. It's filling right above 49,000. And then we do have that second position. So this time of day, I would let the magnet do its thing and trade automatically. I'm using 50 RAs on the magnets, and I like to use support and resistance for the stops after the fill, or structure, like I've been doing very simple structure analysis because that's all I'm capable of. Very simple structure analysis. And then let me look for Langford, your YM range. It's pretty much the same as your RTY, isn't it? If you're there listening to me. Let me see if I can look it up. Starting the range at 925, ending the range at 930.
We have posted the
Target
speeches
1,
from Feds Waller and
9
Feds
to
Collins on the
15.
feed for those interested.
Target 2, 20 and more. If the first target gets hit, consider moving the target 1 stop move to BE minus 5-ish with a stop of 25. 5 ticks above the range, 5 ticks below. Now, Langford, if you're listening and you want to make any corrections to that, that's what I have as your most recent 925 to 930, plus or minus. Yeah, Frank, I had 5 or 6 on the plus or minus. Yeah, that's exactly, almost exactly what we have. Yep. No, he doesn't mind. I've talked to him about it. He doesn't mind sharing it. Now, notice we did not get good follow through
At
on this
9:30
signal.
a.m. Eastern Time, we're
In my
expecting comments
opinion,
from
it's
Feds.
not the best time of
Canada
day
is win-
to take
Canada
a
is
signal.
imposing sanctions on
Why?
100 vessels
Because
from
you're
Russia's
at the
shadow
market
fleet,
open
lowering its price cap
almost,
for Russian
and
crude to $44
it's just nowhere near as
per
good a
barrel
signal.
from $47.60
First of all, high of day,
per
low
barrel,
of
according to
signal.
Defense Minister.
High of
And
day,
the
low
White
of
House
day
official says
signals
Trump
always,
administration is working to change new
almost
temporary
always
U.S.
better than a
tariff rate
VWAP
to
signal.
15% from 10% published by Customs and Border Protection.
If I was going to rate signals, high of day, low of day is number 1. Then the VWAP signals are number 2. Then it's a crapshoot from there. You know, the central pivot. Maybe the previous opens are more
So around at
important than I
9:30 a.m.
give
Eastern
them
Time, we're
credit
expecting
for.
comments from Fed's Cook, participating in a panel on AI at the annual NAB Summit Economic Policy Conference. Text and Q&A is expected with a moderator. Also expecting comments from Fed's Goolsbee, speaking in a TV interview.
Goolsby is talking. I love that guy's name. It's such a goofy name. Mr. Goolsby.
Microsoft announces a new collaboration
I
with
never did
Starlink.
set up the magnet on the MNQ. Let's throw a magnet on the MNQ for after the open. So all you have to do is throw a magnet on. You can leave it on off and it will still generate high of day, low of day signals and VWAP signals. So right now that's all I'm doing is looking at the signals, and I'll use my reverse continue setup if I want to trade it. So if I get a signal, I don't have to even configure a trade setup inside the magnet. I could do it what I call quick and dirty. Quick and dirty. I do put the magnet on the same chart that I'm trading, same market that I'm using for that chart. All right. So whatever that market is, right now it's 54, and always label. Very important to label your trade. So we have an MNQ magnet. Apply it, okay it, turn it on, and we're not going to get orders
Going to a White House
because I don't
official,
have
no
high of
change of
day, low of
heart
day
on Trump's
on.
plan for 15% tariff
Okay,
rate under Section
I'm
122
just
statute.
watching
Time of change to 15%
for signals
unclear.
for after the open. Right now I'm really not doing anything with the MNQ. Just watch, I'm going to trade our open. Like we always do. It is chilly today, so we are a little bit not as warm as it would be to get rid of some of the snow today. It's chilly. It's only in the 20s,
Bank of England's Bailey says with inflation
and not
returning to
supposed to get
targets, there
above
should be
freezing.
scope for some further easing in monetary policy. Currently speaking in an annual report to the TSC.
So,
Bailey says I will go into the
unfortunately,
coming meetings asking whether a cut is justified.
unfortunately, the internet is just a cesspool of ads. If you try to click on a news story and actually get the news, it's a miracle if you actually get the news. It's a miracle. Most of the time, you just get a cesspool of BS ads. And then the news isn't even in the article until like the last word of the article is the piece of information you're looking for.
Bailey
After you've
says we
had
do
50
expect inflation
articles
to
on
return to close
cleansing your
to target in
bowels or
April.
some other cesspoolish type info that nobody's interested in, that the internet just finds necessary to keep pushing.
In 5 minutes' time, I'm expecting comments from Fed's Cook, who's participating in a panel on AI at the annual NAB Economic Policy Conference. Text and Q&A is expected with a moderator. Also expecting comments from Fed's Goolsby speaking in a TV interview.
All right, folks. Just watching and waiting.
Bailey says expect to see scope for some further easing of policy,
5
probably
minutes
during
to go.
this year.
Now the YM, I wanted to make one well, I'm just going to leave it. If it hits the first target, I'll move my stop manually to break even. MNQ is just going to give us our normal breakout. Quite the sell-off over the past half hour or so.
Bank of England's Bailey says looking at underlying inflation picture.
And the YM had the same sell-off. Nowadays, the markets are not nearly correlated like they used to be. Probably never were, and they were never 100% correlated, but I certainly remember in the early days of trading,
Bank of England's Bailey says
if
the
the
rate cut
Dow
at next
was
meeting
up,
is a
generally
genuinely
everything
open
was up.
question.
And in the old days, it
And
was the
Bailey says seeing
Dow that
softening
was
of
looked
labour
at
market.
as the main thing that everyone looked at. Now, probably there's more looking at tech and crypto, right? Different things are looked at, obviously. It's a different world.
Bailey says question is, will inflation feed into expectations? A reminder, we have posted a live link to Fed's Cook speaking on AI on the feed for those interested. Bailey says don't need to see what that happen for further cut. And Bailey says inflation persistence risks have become less pronounced.
Getting quite a push down.
Bailey says the feed through of inflation genuinely open question.
All right.
1 minute remaining to expect text release from Fed's Cook and comments from Fed's Goolsby.
Less than a minute for the open.
And 1 minute remaining for the mark on open imbalance.
So we'll see if our data works on the RTY. And look at this MNQ push down. Wow.
Ten seconds.
Here come our brackets.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Mark on open imbalance S&P 500 sell side 39 million.
That was my
Nasdaq
worry
100 sell side
this
2
morning,
million.
that it would
Dow 30
fill.
buy side
Order
42 million.
submitted.
Mag
Order
7 buy
filled.
side
Totally
13 million.
expected a stop this morning
Fed's Cook speaking
on
says
that fill.
AI transition could have profound
Really expected
implications for
that.
monetary
Order
policy, but it is too early to know the details. Transition could create opportunities,
Now
but
the
job displacement may
RTY
come
worked,
first and the
not
unemployment
getting a
rate
follow through
rise.
yet.
Cook says
Trying to
because
see
of
if we get
artificial
that follow
intelligence,
through.
US is approaching most significant reorganization of work in generations. AI investment boom may raise the neutral rate of interest in
Same
the short
thing with
run.
the
And
YM.
rising productivity means growth
Same
could
thing
remain
with the
strong
YM.
even as joblessness rises. Cook says the Fed may not be able
RTY
to
trying to
emulate
get
AI-driven
12
rise
ticks.
in
Order
unemployment
filled.
Okay,
without
got
risking
our
inflation.
RTY,
And Cook
very
says the neutral
nice.
rate could fall over time as productivity
YM,
gains are
the
realized
MNQ, first
or as
stop in a
changes in the job
while on
market
the
raise
MNQ.
inequality, with AI gains concentrated among those who are
And
better off.
YM is really chopping.
AMD shares gain
Really
8.3%
chopping.
at market open on deal with Meta.
not filling.
Order filled.
Bank of England's Pill says we look past
Shrinking,
inflation
trying to
hump, so
shrink the stop. Trying to shrink the
must do more
stop,
through.
and he got frozen orders again. Very annoying. Bringing the stop down,
Order filled.
and target hit. Both targets hit. Remember what I said about the magnet? I was going to bring my stop to break even. So that's what I was trying to do. Orders froze a little bit, but just barely missed taking us out of that trade. And I think we just got bad luck on the MNQ, a little bit bigger stop, and the MNQ would have been a nice winner instead of a loss. So a beautiful
Bank of
winner
England's
on
Taylor says
the
growing
YM,
downside risks have
400
materialized.
bucks. A nice winner on the RTY, almost 200 bucks. Turning off the breakouts. Breakouts being turned off. Opens being turned off. YM magnet now will generate signals. I'll just turn the YM off and on.
As a reminder, AMD shares gaining 8.3% at the market open after the company agrees to sell up to $60 billion worth of AI chips to Meta.
Let me make a
Bank of
note.
England's Bailey now
No.
answering Treasury Committee questions.
Now we do have consumer confidence coming at 10. So we have to start talking about that in a minute. Let's let these markets open. Let these markets open. So bear with me.
Bank of England's Green says disinflation process may be stalling.
Now, the YM gave a very, very fast.
And Green says risk pay settlement will be higher than forecast.
Look at the YM. It did the same thing yesterday. It went from high to low. I think yesterday it went from,
Fed Goolsbee speaking
today it went low to
in
high.
TV interview says to think the
Low
job
to high.
market growth is pretty
The
steady.
NQ really sold off strongly. So Nitin, you had the same problem on regular NQ, right? Same problem. It just, our stop was too small this morning. Needed a bigger stop on the MNQ. On MNQ. Got a great signal, but it was before the open, so that's a signal that we would not normally take. This particular signal
Oracle
didn't
down
generate until I
1.5%.
redid the
As shares of
strat.
some
So
US
that's
software
something.
companies down after Anthropic's announcement of
Hang
new
on a
AI
second.
tools. And Qualcomm shares up 2.5% after Wells Fargo raises to equal weight from underweight.
All right, so
Anthropic announces 10 AI plugins for investment banking, human resources, design, and other tasks.
okay, MYM short. John sounds like he had a nice trade there.
Bank of England's Green says signs of labour
All
market
right, so the
stabilising.
RTY open really worked 2 days in a row.
And Green
Just
says
yesterday
increase in
we had
unemployment
frozen
more due
orders.
to inactivity.
So today we had nice
Green says it's appropriate to slow the pace of Bank of
viable
England rate cuts.
orders.
Board and GM shares rise more than 3%.
Now I need to build up this MNQ funded account. So I think I'll probably trade the RTY. Roz, you didn't get filled live on the RTY. You didn't get filled. That's kind of crazy. But that happens. Let's take a look. Well, we don't have a lot of time. I was going to say, let's take a look at the video. Let me
Nvidia shares fall
save the
1.7%
video.
after AMD clinches deal
So
with
bear
Meta.
with me, folks. We've got oil open. We made almost target one on the oil open. We forgot about that. And then the US Open, we made money on the YM twice and on the RTY once and got stopped on the NNQ.
Bank of England's Pill says disinflation process intact and still incomplete.
All right. Now the MNQ, that signal was early. It was too early. It was before the open. Would not have taken that signal. It was, I mean, you can take a signal before the open, but the risk is tremendous. It's tremendous risk. So we have to get ready for CB consumer confidence. So I'm done trading the YM. We
Bank of
had three
England's
YM
Pill says the
trades.
Bank
We
of
had
England
an
in the past
early
has perhaps
small
put too
winner,
much weight on inflation being at target rather than future risks.
we had two YM trades, and then a market open trade, a winner. So those are gone. Our RTY is gone for the moment.
So just a heads up for users using TickStrike, we are experiencing just some issues with it at the moment.
And the
Fixing it with our
MNQ,
devs. Apologies for the issues. Thank you for your patience.
I'm
It
going to
will be
leave
fixed soon.
right now the MNQ on for a moment
Bank of England's
longer.
Pill says underlying inflation at
Take a
2.5 to
very fast
3%.
look at the
More work to do.
video.
And Pill says bearing down on inflation pressures remains necessary.
Very quick look at this video. Roz said that her RTY did not fill. And then don't forget, anybody that joined us this morning made money on Home Depot. Trade Room Plus. And that is a big plus. So here's RTY all the way to the right. We're looking at the speed. A little bit more of the RTY. And the RTY was now my orders are very nerve-wracking. That's a little bit disappointing. Very nerve-wracking. Now let me get the right day. Let me get the right video. It's very important to get the right video. My videos are going in a crazy
Salesforce
place.
shares gained 3.4% during Anthropic's presentation.
Okay, welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus. Here for the Oil Open, US Open. So just a quick look. How fast was RTY this morning? That's what we're looking at. Okay, here's our RTY range. 10 seconds after the open. It was choppy, that's for sure. I mean, it had a pretty fast burst at the open. It did have a pretty quick burst.
Pill says disinflation has been slower than anticipated.
Almost hit the target immediately. And then it chopped around, almost stopped us out a couple of times. Almost hit the target again. Almost hit the target again.
Pill says see risks to inflation on upside and caution is needed.
Not quite. Then it almost looked like it was going to stop us out for sure, and it survived. Then again, it looked like it was going to stop us out possibly. And then it pushed and followed through, finally. Bingo. All right. The MNQ was the big frustration. Very strong downward movement before the open. And we got filled the direction I wanted to be filled. What we should have done is moved our stop above the PP. That's where the stop should have been. Above the PP. Would have easily survived the trade. Next time, I'll try to be more mindful of our support and resistance. You didn't have a lot of time to move it, though. Look how fast it was. You got to really be thinking, and we have a lot of trades we're looking at. So you have to look at it before the fill, and then boom, got to move that stop up. We had time. There was time.
Feds Waller says Feds Waller doesn't think
Not a
AI
lot,
is
but you
going to
had 10 seconds at least.
substantially displace white collar work.
And now, unbelievable, these markets are nutty. They're just nutty.
Taylor, Bank of England's Taylor says rates could end up above or below neutral. And
All
Adobe
right,
shares
everybody,
rise 3.4%
I want to thank
during
everybody
Afropic's
on
presentation.
YouTube. Let me just see, were we supposed to stream? I'm going to keep the stream going for consumer confidence. I got filled short on RTY. Filled short.
Feds Waller says AI won't completely take humans out of the picture. It's a tool. AI tech will bring change to the economy.
Now, let me set up our next trade. We got CB Consumer Confidence. This is a high risk report, a difficult report. All right. A report that has a lot of inconsistency, but it is a potential trap trade. The big issue is what kind of movement are we going to get on gold on this report? Can we survive? That's the question.
Feds
Can we
Waller says
survive
people
our
will figure out
brackets?
how to harness
All
AI
right.
for good.
Can we survive our brackets?
Feds Waller says.
So it's not a cash
Feds
account
Waller
trade,
says
in my
Citrini
opinion. There's a little bit
report
too
on
much
AI
risk
overstates risk to jobs.
on this report.
And Feds Waller says, I'm not a doom and gloomer about AI.
Welcome, everyone. Pro Trade Room Plus, CB Consumer Confidence. My name is Lee Goldstein, the trading director for 10-minute trades. Please remember all the
Bailey
trades
says
we
last week's
discuss for
headline
educational
inflation was pretty
purposes.
much where we thought it would be.
All right. Turning off everything for the moment. Putting gold on, GC0426.
Bailey says good price
Consumer
inflation was lower than
confidence is a
expected,
gold trap
possibly
trade. That's our
reflecting
setup.
China.
The MNQ has been pretty poor on this trade.
Bailey says service price inflation has not eased as much as
And the
we thought it
gold
would be.
breakout is not a good performer either at the current time. All right. Here's our DMM. Now, the gold breakout looks way better than it performs. I'll tell you that
Bailey
right now.
says
It
seeing
just
trade
looks
effects
better than
coming
it
through on
performs.
goods.
It had a terrible whipsaw last month. Small spikes. It's been very difficult to get good profit at a gold. You know, when you have a 20 bracket and it's only moving 32 ticks, there's not a lot of profit. And that's what the DMM is telling us. And a 20 bracket might not be big enough in this particular market. Gold is down $72 today. There's a lot of risk in this kind of a report now. Our tiers on the trap trade. First things first. All right. MNQ breakout is gone. MNQ reverse continue being turned into a gold reverse continue. So highlight the reverse continue, one position, a 30 tick target, and a 30 tick stop. Now you can try trading micro gold on this if you'd like to, if you're just dying to trade. You could definitely trade micro gold if you want to practice a trap trade. So GC reverse continue. I'll choose an account in a moment. I have to decide which account I'm trading it in. I will trade this in a prop account. Probably 38
Feds
or
Waller says regional
37,
Fed
one of the ones we
operations call
traded
for
this
more
morning.
centralization of activity.
And historically, this event has been not moving that much. But our tiers are bigger today because of so much volatility in the market. So if we get a slow move, it's possible that we won't get a fill. That would surprise me. 959.55 on the trigger on the trap. The stop is 25. I would probably put a 30 in there. I definitely will almost always increase the stop on gold trap trades in particular. Tier 1 is 40, Tier 2 is 75. Currently our stop is 25. Label it Trap GC. Right now I'm on sim. I'm going to decide in 1 second where to trade it. I'm not trading the breakout. I know the breakout could work. I would just increase the stop to 40, Roz. I'd increase the stop to 40. Everything else I'd leave the same. The tiers would be the same. I would just up the stop. Now, what account do I want to trade this in? First off, we can put a magnet
And that concludes comments from
on
Fed
the
Goolsby.
chart to watch for after the news. There's no harm in putting a gold magnet on the chart. I have an MNQ magnet on that chart from the trade we just took. So you can update it, put it on.
So there's an Anthropic event live stream going on. We have posted the link
You
to
can
that
put it
video
on
the
high of
feed
day,
for those
low of day.
interested.
Let me take a look at gold quickly. So gold is closer to the low because it's had a pretty negative
So for users, reminder now that
pretty
tick strike
negative
issues should be
sell-off
fixed.
prior to the open, but that was after the gold open. Okay, but gold has been negative today. Yesterday, it was very super bullish. All right, gold is negative today. I'd rather get filled short on our trap. Okay, that's because of the negativity in gold. I'd rather get filled short.
Anthropic says customers can customize plugins for Claude. Claude now works across Excel, and PowerPoint.
I
And Claude
am
is
going to
introducing 5 new
trade.
Anthropic built plugins.
So let's label our MNQ magnet. Becomes now a gold magnet. So you have to label it. And I'm not trading, I'm just going to watch signals. GC magnet. So I'm not even setting up a trade. It's just signals are off for high of day and low of day signals. All right. I'm not trading the magnet. I'm just watching it for signals at the moment. Apply an OK, and we can turn our magnet on. It's not going to hurt anything. Let me just choose what account I'm going to trade this trap in. So I know there's a lot of risk in this trap. And I think I have a couple of a couple of prop accounts that are building up beautifully. And I'm going to trade the prop account that is not so meaningful, because I'm not interested in blowing prop accounts that are getting closer to funded, and I'm not interested in damaging a funded account that's getting close to a payout. I'm like $1,000 from a payout, maybe a little bit more. So I'm going to trade the gold trap and watch the magnet. In the account we've been using this morning, we're up almost $200.
Bank of
It was
England's
our
Bill says
RTY
structural changes in the
account.
labour
I'm
market
going to
quite
move my
profound.
RTY in the morning to a funded account. I think our RTY setup, I think the setup that Roz came up with is great. It looks like a great setup. And I'm going to put that in my MNQ funded account to see if we could get some traction on that account. Let's set up our trap. 959.55 on our trigger. The stop is 25. 40 and 75 on our stops, on our tiers. And we're trading it in number
Bank of England's Bill
37.
says labour market easing cyclical.
Stop is 25. Remember, you could look at your tiers. If you want to see where your tiers are going to be, you can set your time to 0, just like in a breakout trade. Put your charts on sim so you don't get filled by accident, right? We're just looking to see where our orders are going to show up at the moment.
Order submitted.
Okay.
Order canceled. Order canceled.
All right, so we have our trap and our chart spread. So our trap, 950, 955 is the trigger. One more time,
In 10 minutes' time,
40
have
and
a USC
75
Meta aims to enter
on the
stablecoin space
targets.
later this year, according to
25 on the
CoinDesk.
stop. The software does modify the stop at times for safety.
Bit more further info. Meta, the US tech giant helmed by Facebook creator Zuckerberg,
All
is
right.
aiming to enter the stablecoin space later this year,
Tier 1 is
pending
40,
successful
Tier 2
integration
is
with a third-party firm
75,
to facilitate payments using the dollar-pegged token
and it's
technology,
labeled
according to
Trap
3 people
GC.
familiar with the plans.
So our trap trade is ready to go. Then we have a GC magnet. We're
At
just
10 a.m. Eastern
watching
Time, we have USCB
signals on
consumer
that,
confidence forecast
but I'll put it on the
87.1,
same
prior
account.
84.5, with a range of
That's
91.5
something
to
I'll be
83.
watching after
US
the
wholesale
news in
inventories month on
particular.
month revised, forecast 0.2%, unchanged from the prior. US wholesale
And then we have a
sales month
gold
on month,
reverse
forecast
continue,
0.2%, prior
and we'll put
1.3%.
that
Richmond
on the
Fed
same
Composite Index
account as
forecast
well.
-5, prior -6.
Gold reverse continue, one position, 30 target, 30 stop.
Bank of England's pill says elements of shedding labour that
Everything's
had
on
been
the same
hoarded.
account. You're obviously not going to trade everything at the same time. And then don't forget your chart trader goes on that account. So I'll be managing the trap trade. On a trap trade,
Bank of
you want
England's
to make
Bailey says
sure
labour hoarding is unwinding.
that you have break even button, close the trade button, adjust the tiers button, cancel the outer tier button, and combine orders button. You want to see them all. If you don't see them all, it's because your chart is not
We have posted the
wide
article out
enough.
from CoinDesk
Okay.
on the feed for those interested.
It's
Bank of
not
England's
wide
Bailey
enough.
says not seeing particular
I'm just
uptick in
watching the
redundancies.
YM on this report and the RTY. All right, you could watch the
Salesforce shares gain
MNQ on this
4.5%
report.
after the company builds
Now, it's
plugins
never
for Anthropic's
bad
new
to
AI
put a
tools.
reverse continue on a chart. I prefer watching the MNQ or the NQ on news. I don't trade the YM much at all, except in the morning. I don't trade the RTY at all, except now on the open. We'll put one position, RTY, reverse continue,
Meta stablecoin
and
plans
we'll
a
do a
third-party vendor to help
35 target and a
administrator
35 stop.
stablecoin-based payments and
Well,
a
I'm
new
not even going
wallet
to
to
be
be implemented,
watching these
according to
other
CoinDesk.
markets, to be honest, because it's not easy to manage a trap
Coinbase
trade
opens
on a volatile
24
report.
hours, 5 days a week stock trading to US users.
RTY, I'll just label that. And one contract, just watching RTY with a reverse continue possible. We need our news open. Let's get our news. I expect consumer confidence to be worse than expected, but you never know. That's one of those that we
In 5 minutes'
never
time, we're
know.
expecting the USCB consumer
I
confidence
couldn't
forecast
care less
87.1,
about
prior
Guthrie.
84.5, with a range
That's
of
a news story
91.5
I
to
just don't
83.
care about.
US wholesales inventories
I feel
month on month
bad, and I'm
revised,
sorry,
forecast
but
0.2%,
just not that
unchanged from the prior.
meaningful a news
US
story.
wholesale sales month
It's
on
just
month,
because she's a
forecast 0.2%,
anchor on a
prior
show. Otherwise,
1.3%,
no one would
and
even
Richmond
care.
Fed Composite Index forecast
I
-5,
mean, it's
prior
a terrible
-6.
thing. Don't get me wrong. It's not a news story that I think deserves all the coverage it's getting. It's way too much coverage. It's just ridiculous. Now, Richmond's going to come out. Richmond will come out before the news. It almost always comes out early, right? Almost always early. Richmond.
Order submitted.
Ugh,
Order
I did not
canceled.
mean to do that. I entered a trade by
Order
accident.
filled.
You son of a dog. Let me put my trap back on. Oh my God. My mistake. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Hang on. Where'd my news go? It disappeared, you son of a dog. There it is. Be careful where you click. Lesson number 1. All right, so they're expecting 87.4. Now, I never set up an MNQ trade. Set up a quick reverse continue on the MNQ for after the news. Couple of contracts. Reverse continue. 40 target. That's pretty big news. We'll do a 50 target, 75 stop. MNQ. Gonna trade that in an account I don't use very much. A prop account. That's a little bit positive. So if you think the news is going to be negative, right? I think it's a very strong possibility this is going to be negative. But the markets are quite bullish. The markets are very bullish. I'm just making sure I match my chart trader with the account. So my trap trade, which is the main trade I'm interested in, I'm worried. My worry about our trap trade is that we're going to get more movement than we can survive. That's my worry. More movement than we can survive. All right? And we're just watching RTY and MNQ for moves on this news for next time. That's all. Quite the market opens this morning. Very active markets this morning. A lot of movement. A lot of movement.
One minute remaining. I believe
Any
the
quick
US EU consumer
questions?
confidence.
Anyone? Watch Richmond. Watch Richmond come out early. Watch. Richmond's going to come out early. 90% of the time, Richmond comes out early.
Bank of England's Pill says the labour market is showing signs of stabilisation.
So it didn't come out early today.
10 seconds.
What do you know?
Order submitted.
There's our traps, our orders.
Order cancelled.
91 spot 2, 91 spot 2, higher than forecast of 87 spot 1. US wholesales inventories month-on-month revised 0.2%.
Order
0.2% as expected. Wholesale sales
$1,000
1%,
profit, made about
higher than
$800.
forecast of 0.2%.
Moving my stop to safety, that was like an $800
Richmond
trap
Composite
in
Index
one
minus 10,
second.
minus 10,
It
lower than
burst,
forecast of -5.
missed our stop, totally reversed. Awesome, awesome trade. Now, I would make sure cancel all orders. I want to make sure all orders are canceled. And I'm just restarting my magnet, my reverse continue, and I'm going to check. I would check my R trader, make sure that was so fast. Just make sure nothing was left hanging on that report.
2026 report on the feed for those interested.
So I will check my R trader. Richmond came out, was very negative. Now, consumer confidence, much more positive than expected. So what happens? when you get news that's better than expected, it pushed gold down. I did not want to be filled long. We were filled long, and it burst down first and then to the upside. We'll watch the video in a minute. Just looking to see, is there any opportunity here? On good news, it's good consumer news. It's certainly not bad news. It's way better than expected. But interestingly, the NQ, MNQ burst down big on the news. It was a big drop initially on the news, as was the RTY. Look what happened. It dropped almost 200 points on the news, it looks like to me. RTY on the news looks like it dropped 48 ticks or so. Those are big moves in the opposite direction of what I would have thought should have gone the other way on the news initially. Should have gone the other way on good news. Gold, now, gold, we had a miracle. Gold, the miracle was we got a reversal in a very, very negative market. So anytime you get a trap trade with a reversal miracle, I'll take it. I'll take it. So that's what we got, a gold miracle. Nitin, you traded the NQ for a profit. CB.
Better Cook says may not see AI and productivity data for 5 to 10 years. Currently, Cook is answering questions after speech.
What
only.
kind of setup did you use? Anyone else trade their own rogue setup? Anybody else with a rogue setup out there?
Broadcom shares
So we
53%
made
after AMD clinches deal with Meta.
$800, $900, and $920 on the trap trade in 1 second. 920. I was up 140, and I'm now up 1060. So I made 920 on the trap. One of the big issues with a trap is just not being afraid to take the trade, not being afraid to damage a prop account. And I'm willing to damage almost any regular prop account with a trade. I'm almost always willing. Because what do you got to lose? You could wind up with a funded account, like in 1 second. It happened to us on earnings 2 weeks ago. And we're working on that funded account. And that funded account's doing really well.
Shares of big US
How
banks
small a
off
bracket
pressure
then?
morning trade.
What was your
JP
bracket
Morgan
on the
Chase down
NQ?
0.2%, Goldman Sachs off 0.7%, and Bank of America falls 3%.
50. Okay, that's
Morgan
not
Stanley
that
down 0.9%, and
unreasonable.
Wells
That's
Fargo
not
falls
unreasonable, I don't
2.8%.
think.
Citigroup off 2.2%.
We don't have, we had
And
a
the S&P 500
we had a
Bank Index
40
down
on the
2.2%.
MNQ. That was our testing previously to this report. Bracket of 40 on the RT, or 25 on the RTY. No, let me get my notes. Let me get the right notes. Wait. It was definitely a 40 on the MNQ and no RTY current testing on this report. I mean, that's a good average bracket for a report you think is going to have decent movement. All right. My concern was I was worried about how big the burst would be. Let's look at the video. The burst is what worried me. I did up the tiers by almost double for this month. I did up the tiers almost double. Our previous tiers were 25 and 45, and we went 40 and 75 today. So I think that was a pretty good move. That was a pretty good move.
EU Sefcovic says we have transitional period ahead of US with ahead of us with the United States on tariffs.
All right. Let's take a peek at this video and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So with a trap trade, everybody knows the whole idea is you're going the opposite direction. Opposite direction. If the market goes down, we're buying. If the market goes up, we're selling. And that's the beauty, and also that's what makes a trap trade scary to trade. You have to be willing. It's almost like being naked in the middle of the street sometimes. And you're waiting for someone to bring your clothes to you. That's what a trap trade sometimes feels like. Because you're in a position and it's against you because the burst went against you because you're waiting for the reversal to give you your profit. The beautiful, the perfect trap trade is what happened today. And then my only mistake was I just brought my stop too close to the current price, and it took me out, but it generated an error. It wouldn't have generated
Bank of
the error
England's Bailey says
had I
seeing
just
signs of
dropped my
uptick in
stop
productivity.
a little bit closer to the current price.
And EU
So
Sefcovic
watch.
says the US
Here's
is
the
looking
trade.
into the issue of steel and derivative tariffs, says hopes for better news on this soon.
Now the stop, it really should have been, and the 25 was perfect. The stop was perfect. I should have made it a 30. I think the software actually made it bigger. Let's watch it one more time. So the trap, it burst down. We survived. We had 2 contracts long. It was immediately $1,000 in profit. So I moved my stop up, but I got too close to the current price. And before I let it go, and that's what generated the error. Otherwise, it just would have taken me out. And then it did not go much more in our direction. It went against us. It would that was you had to get out of that trade fast. You did have a little
Bank
time
of
there.
England's Bailey
All
says
right. You
reduced
did have
hoarding
time.
of labour may
Nope,
lead
you
to
had a
higher
second chance to
productivity.
get out. There it is. You had a second chance to get out without a stop. All right. Pretty big, nice little trap there. Got it, Calvin. You got it. I understand. All right, everybody. I want to thank everyone on YouTube for joining with us. I'm going to close down our YouTube stream. Quick recap. Made money on the RTY Open. Made 2 trades positive on the YM Opens and pre-open. Stopped out on MNQ Open. Made money on Home Depot earnings this morning. And made money on consumer confidence, over 900 on consumer confidence. It was a very good trading morning. All right. Thanks for streaming on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow morning.